Good morning. We all need a little bit of comfort with the situation in Europe at the moment. So what does the Bible say? In John 14, verse 29, Jesus said, "I have told you this now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you may believe." Now, he was talking about his death and resurrection, but we can apply this to other prophecies, that as we see them come true, our faith gets stronger. So I've had a look around to see what others are saying about the situation, and most Bible commentators, if you like, have gone to Ezekiel chapter 38. Now, this talks about a certain character named Gog from the land of Magog. So who is he? He's the prince of Meshech and Tubal. Now, according to the footnote in the Jerusalem Bible, it says that Meshech and Tubal can be recognized as nations from the far north. So what is he going to do? Well, he's going to amass a large army. And then in verse 10, it says, "The Lord Yahweh says this, on that day, a thought is going to enter your mind," that's Gog's mind, "and you will work out a wicked plan. You will say, I will attack the undefended country and march against this peaceful nation living undisturbed. They live in towns that have no walls or bars or gates, to plunder them for loot." So what happens to this prince? The Bible goes on to say that he's going to attack God's people. And in verse 22, when he does that, God says, "I will punish him with plague, bloodshed, torrential rain, hailstones, fire and brimstone." Now, how literal that is, we've yet to find out. But it means the end to this particular prince. And why? Because God says, "I mean to display my greatness and my holiness, and to compel the many nations to acknowledge me. This is how they will learn that I am Yahweh." So how this prince comes to his end, we've yet to see. But there will be absolutely no doubt whatsoever that his end comes from God. So who are these people that this Gog is going to attack? Is it the natural nation of Israel? Well, the Bible describes the people that Gog is attacking as an undefended country with no walls or bars or gates. That can hardly apply to Israel. They are very well defended. They have enough nuclear arms to blow up the whole planet, I dare say. So it can't be literal Israel. So who is it applying to? If we go to the book of Hebrews and chapter 12, you'll remember that the Apostle Paul talked about Christians making up a spiritual house that's both Jews and Gentiles together, with Jesus Christ as the foundation cornerstone. And in verse 22 of Hebrews 12, Paul says, "You have come to a Mount Zion, a city of the living God, heavenly Jerusalem." So we're talking about a spiritual form of Israel here, that is Christians who are definitely undefended, or at least they should be. So they come up against this apparently defenseless people, and then God will step in. How do I know this applies to our day? Well, that's because in chapter 37 of Ezekiel, just find that a minute, just before the prophecy about Gog from Magog, it talks in verse 24, "My servant David will reign over them, one shepherd for all. They will follow my observances." Well, we know this applies to Jesus Christ. And in verse, it goes on to say 26, "I shall make a covenant of peace with them, an eternal covenant with them." Well, that hasn't happened yet. So this prophecy is for our day. Now, my feeling, and you can write comments below if you have any thoughts on this, is that this prophecy about Gog of Magog is the same as Daniel 11 and verse 40 about the king of the north, where it says that the king of the north will invade countries. Some will escape him, though. And then it says that when he comes against God's people, he will come to his end. There will be no help for him. So this situation is not going to last forever. We're going to see a time coming when God's kingdom will rule. God will bring in his own king, Jesus Christ, the best king we could possibly wish for. There will be no more wars. No more humans will be able to make war on anybody else. So we look forward to that time. And in the meantime, I'll leave you in God's care, because you're certainly going to need it through these difficult times. I'm sorry about the flowers. I couldn't bear to pick them, so you've got the whole thing. But I'll leave you with a few flowers instead. Thanks very much for watching, and God bless.